I had this shoe with a review of the Nike Ja 3. Everyone was making quite a big deal out of it. My expectation was pretty sky high about this shoe too. But unfortunately, it's not better than the ones in the two, in my opinion. So Ja 3, they have Zoom X midsole, but don't really feel like they're Zoom X. The heel cushioning is really good. There's good compression, good shock absorption. And I love how they have this angular, the heel cup is out here and the midsole begins closer, faster. So it provides it really does not decelerate or affect your first step. This is what Adidas used to do with their crazy light, crazy quick models in the past. And that was one of the shining points of the shoe. Even if they had really lousy fit and cushioning, that was what I loved about the shoe. And good that Nike brought this to Ja 3. Speed is there. And although it's all covered with this rubber compound all around the midsole, it does not hinder the cushioning in the heel that much. There's good compression still. I was worried that this is going to be clunky like the shoes like Kobe 9s where there's like angular and you feel like you're like, it doesn't have that. Good smooth transition in the heel. Unfortunately, the forefoot, I don't really feel Zoom X or anything. It's decent, but you're gonna feel blisters if you play for a prolonged period. It's like a poor Adidas shoe, like Donny shoes of the previous models, where the forefoot you don't feel much. It's like overall, it's an inferior version of Adidas cushioning. Is like the Dame 9s, inferior to Dame 9, even though it says Zoom X. The Zoom X, by the way, according to many reviewers out there who have thoroughly looked into it, 2 layers of very density, reuse leftover chunks of Zoom X is there. A heel, you can actually feel the compression, but unless someone tells me it's Zoom X, I would not know it's Zoom X. I would just feel like that's a pretty soft foam cushioning. And on the forefoot, it's not that different from the Asia A1, which is just full cushion, or the Book 1. Well, it's slightly better than Book 1. The forefoot cushioning is slightly better than Book 1. Book 1's forefoot cushioning is non-existent. But the fact that they say it's Zoom X, but you don't feel much. Yeah. First of all, the insole is a very thick EVA insole, so this actually provides that stepping comfort. But the more you play in them, and the more it gets flattened, yeah, there's this sort of a relative hardness on the forefoot. For size 10, it weighs about 300, less than about 380 grams. That's pretty lightweight, but considering all these rubber all around the shoe, this is pretty lightweight, but it does not feel that light. It feels heavier than what the digits show for some reason. This is supposed to be as light, if not lighter than the Ja 1s and the 2, but it feels heavier than both of them. That's how it feels. Sizing, it's weird because on this part, it's very tight. In the midfoot, it's very tight at the bottom and around it. The shoelaces, you don't even need to lace it up tight. The shoe itself is pretty tight and form-fitting. If you lace them up hard, you will feel blisters or circulation impacted right here in the midfoot. On the forefoot, people say it's narrow, but it's not that crazy narrow. I thought they were going to be as narrow and short as the Book 1s, but they're definitely more forgiving than the Book 1s in terms of sizing. But compared to the previous Ja models, they are definitely a little bit more sharp, as they have this sort of like a elf shoe kind of a pointy part here, so some people might feel that's a bit constricting, but it does not run short. It actually is roomy. It feels like maybe it runs pretty decently long, but here there's a crazy dead space right above your toe box area. It's crazy tight here and then crazy loose here on top, though not on the not from side to side. So I would say if you have a very, very narrow foot and you like a tight fit, you can go true to size. But most people, I would advise half size up maybe. Or in some cases, if you try the Book 1s and you felt they were too tight and you had to go a whole size up, same here. It's a little bit more forgiving than the Book 1s, but just as weirdly tight. The upper material, without even lacing, you feel like they're tightening and forming around your foot, but at the same time, you can feel that they're kind of expanding as you kind of heat them up, so it's a little weird. The traction pattern is great. The traction is good. Ja 1, Ja 2, Ja 3, I cannot say which is better. They're all very good and very resistant to dust compared to most other shoes out there. And this Ja pattern all around. This, if I didn't tell you this is a Ja Morant shoes, if you just look at the bottom's outsole, first reaction you would have, these are, all condition gear, ACG, track, outdoor tracking kind of shoe. Yeah, for hiking. Yeah, just like that. Durable, good traction, not dust sensitive. I love the traction of the Ja 1s and the Ja 2. They're wonderful. This is another banger out there. Good follow through and tradition being kept alive in terms of the Ja models. Outrigger wise, there's no sharp blunt angles like the book ones, so it feels like they're doing a decent job of providing some kind of stability, but there's no decent outrigger. The base is not that crazy wide compared to the Ja 1s and the 2. This is the least stable in terms of providing anti-rollover protection. Compared to the 1 and 2, very inferior, but decent compared to other shoes out there. Overall, the padding is nice. The tongue, some say it's too short and it's weird, but actually shorter tongue is better than having them too high and poking or doing something like rubbing off on your socks the wrong way. So short tongue, I'm fine with that. Heel lockdown, it's pretty decent. It does not need beefy foam all over. It actually clutches your foot nicely. Padding is nice all around. Even though this seems quite high, it does not dig into your Achilles. Ja 2, I had a problem with these ankle lateral and medial sides. Some of them kind of chafed in compared to the Ja 1s. So Ja 1, I would say it's still my favorite. Design-wise, yeah, these scratchy little rubbery bits. Yeah, if it could hurt someone, it could hurt your own foot, especially on the edges here around the heel when you're taking off your shoe. If you kind of step on these to remove your shoe, you're gonna be rubbing something off the wrong way, even your skin sometimes. Sometimes you're moving around quickly, you might end up hitting your foot with it, but it's not a huge deal. But it does make you kind of worry or feel a little bit cautious out there. The logo with this swoosh as a Ja J is pretty decent. The A, I think this colorway is decent because they did not need to color the A to spell it out for people and say this is JA. I just hate it when they try to spoon feed you and just force it down your throat like that when it's really obvious out there. So this is a better design than the A's being very prominently in a different color. So overall, Ja 3, harder to find, but it's just hype at this moment. It's the great traction. If you love book 1s, you like the Ja 3s. That's the closest comparison I can give you. It's very book 1. If you like the Ja 1s and the 2s, the Forefoot here, it's going to be a killer because they're very punishing compared to the Ja 1s and the Ja 2s, where the Forefoot zoom and the foam works perfectly and nicely in tandem. And the heel for the Ja 1s and the Ja 2, although it's just some lazy run-of-the-mill Phylon, they actually feel pretty comfortable and they're forgiving. I would say if you put just a little slab of polyurethane material or insole on the heel a little bit for the Ja 1s and Ja 2s, they will be as good, if not better. Well, actually better than the Ja 3 because they do have a zoom forefoot that you can really feel, and overall the fit and everything is so good. Ja 1 actually takes the cake for me.